thank Science Oxford for inviting me here this evening. It was really funny because I got an email and it said, we have the Shell Wildlife Photographer of the Year display and we'd really like to invite you to come talk about your research. And I thought, oh, they're really interested in the research I do on nocturnal primates for the last 17 years. And they said, no, about the yeti, which is something I just did this summer. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about it if this works. So basically, I'm going to give you several topics to this talk, and I'll show you them all here. First of all, how did I get involved in the search for a yeti, and what is the context in which I'm going to tell you about my involvement today. And then I'm going to show you some other examples of scientists who have actually sought the yeti in a scientific context. I'm going to tell you about some fossil apes that do actually exist, that are by some people considered to be real yetis, and to talk about the potential that they may still exist. I'm also going to look at the discovery of new primate species and new species in general that are still being discovered today, and show you that there are things out there that we don't know are out there, and how that might be able to provide any evidence for something like yeti. And finally, at the very end, the results of the very small research project that we did this summer that got me invited here today. So, the story starts in Meghalaya in India. You can see a map here where the state of Meghalaya lies close to the Bangladesh border, close to Bhutan in the Himalayas. And you can see there a photograph of Nogrek National Park in the Garo Hills. And we were contacted by some individuals working in this area. It's a relatively remote area. There have been very few wildlife studies conducted in the area. In fact, there's 8,000 square kilometers of forest that you can say is relatively unexplored. And so the people living in the area report the existence of primates. They don't call it the yeti, they call it the Mande Barung. And the Mande Barung is another word for abominable snowman, you may have heard it, the Sasquatch. And in fact, it's known in many countries around the world, where it has a different name in all of them. What you see here is a photograph, I don't know how well you can see it, from the Garo Hills. And this is a man's foot, and you see a shape of a very, very large footprint in which he is standing. And people believe this was made by the Mande Barung. It is possibly a rock formation, but what I do want to say about the size and shape of that foot, there are also regular footprints that are seen in villages of the same size and shape that people report to be coming from this animal they call the Mande Barung, or the forest man. And these stories stem back for centuries. They're passed down throughout lineages from grandparents to their children and to their children. The person who was really searching for the yeti is called Dipu Marak. He was first working with a group of colleagues and friends, and he was very interested in the fact that many, many villagers reported the story of the Mande Barung. They gave a very similar description. They all described it as this. This is a forensic sketch of the Mande Barung, a black and grey-like animal weighing up to 300 kilograms. In the other parts of the talk, I'm going to show you lots of other animals and their sizes, and you could get a real concept of how large 300 kilograms is. It's reported to be anywhere from 7 to 9 feet, about 3 meters tall. And it's reported going into the forest and ripping open branches and scraping off the bark and eating the sap from inside branches. And it's also, very interestingly, and this is one thing that compelled us to actually follow up on this story, it's reported to make ground nests out of vegetation. When we look at gorillas and chimpanzees, also very large apes, they do make ground nests out of vegetation. They do it on a nightly basis where they fold them, and they have a very characteristic look. And the nests that were reported from this area were similar to these ape nests. So that was actually interesting to us, because if you're going to make up a story about a primate, to know that much about the ecology of an ape was a little bit compelling. And these footprints, like I showed you, they're reported very often. So, as the story keeps going on, Dipu contacted Alistair Lawson from the BBC, and there he is, standing on the India-Bangladesh border. He went out there for a few weeks. He recorded the stories of these people, and he is the one who actually who got into contact with us. These are the couple of the people he interviewed, some local villagers from the area. This woodcutter, Nelbisan Sangma, he reported seeing it 3 days in a row. He had to take a 5-hour walk into the forest where he was cutting wood. He said he saw it across the river. It was a tall, imposing figure. He could see it very clearly. He saw it breaking open this wood and again eating sap. And he said that for him to get to the closest camera would have been a 10-hour walk, basically there and back, so 5 hours in and 5 hours back. And he felt that it was so amazing to see it, and to see it for so long, that it wasn't worth the walk to get the camera. And most of these cameras would have just been a pretty poor quality camera anyway. This author, Llewellyn Marak, he's a very devout follower of Mandi Barung in the area. He's written local reports on it. He's collected local history. He reports when he was a young boy, he saw it